hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to?
Welcome again to Street Talk. My name is Ammahad Shekarakki, and on Street Talk, what we try to do is we talk about the political, social, and economics times, and we talk about here in Michigan, here in Lansing, and the U.S., and we sometimes go all over the world, really, because the political, social, and economics is every place. And joining me this evening, one of my favorite friends is Mr. James Toby. Hey.
Once again, Ammahad, it's good to be with you. Thanks
Okay, let's give me a little bit about your background. I know it's long and everything, so
well,
give me a little bit about your background.
Let's shorten it. I teach at Everett High School, where I've been there for the past 21 years, right? But I've traveled, or I should say I travel extensively, to various countries. I've been fortunate enough over the past couple of years to have been selected as a Fulbright scholar.
Okay.
And to have traveled to some countries such as South Africa,
Okay.
and other parts of Africa. So I come to people with a broad paintbrush. I'm from the Caribbean actually, so when one talks of third world countries, versus first world countries, I'm right there, because I've lived in both.
Okay. Let's talk about schools first. Since you in the high school and about, I think it was either May or June, I was reading something and I heard it on TV that Michigan, no, Detroit, they said Detroit, so I don't know whether it was talking about Michigan or just talking about Detroit, but Detroit had a graduation rate of 26%. Chicago was 34%, and some places was 29 or 30%. I can't remember other places, but now, what do you think of that? I mean, it's really outrageous, really, when you think about it.
Well, as citizens of probably the greatest country in the world, or we profess to be, given the fact that we are 16 trillion in debt, I don't know we can lay claim to that fame, because we can no longer live in the past. We need to face our present, so hopefully there will be a future.
Okay.
That should be a front to anybody, that our percentage of graduation rate are so low. I mean, it is no longer a pandemic, it's now an epidemic.
Okay.
Because one can trace, right, the education of youth with the ill discipline of youth.
Okay.
And when we look about those areas you've talked about, there's a comparison with the crime rate. I think about 2 days ago, I was reading the fact that Chicago had a horrible crime rate over the summer, mainly among young people.
Right.
Detroit, we know that at times there are certain parts of Detroit that becomes unsafe, and other areas. So there's a linkage, there's an economic link there, along with education, and then, of course, how we behave as individuals. Because lack of education means people do not have the ability to move.
Okay.
And movement is not just a physical thing. Movement involves an upward link. How do you move from, say, an inadequate home to a larger one?
Okay.
How do you perceive yourself as being able to adequately, say, take care of your family? All that has to do with how much you've got upstairs versus how much you've been trained. And the link goes on.
Okay.
So when one looks at that, dismal graduation rate, we should highly be alarmed. We gave Europe a Marshall Plan after World War II.
Yep.
Right? When we look at education in this country, it needs to become not a top priority. It needs to become the priority.
Okay. Okay. I sometimes see on TV public service announcement. I believe it is. It's a public service announcement where the U.S. ranks 15 or 25, something like that, in
the developed
yeah.
countries.
Yeah.
In math and science. Yes,
Okay.
we are. I mean, I'm not quite sure of the number where we are,
Mm-hmm.
but wherever position we are, it's too low.
Mm-hmm.
Given all of our resources, given our contribution to the world, first country to put a man in the moon,
Mm-hmm.
we discovered the internet,
Mm-hmm.
our tremendous highway system.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just said, we gave Europe the Marshall Plan.
Mm-hmm.
We have interceded all
Mm-hmm.
over the world where anarchy and chaos
Mm-hmm.
have been. Given how hardworking Americans are,
Mm-hmm.
right, we have got to ask ourselves, why are our youth so far behind?
Mm-hmm.
What accounts for this? Because some years ago, when were not exposed to all these things,
Mm-hmm.
we were right up there. You could have been an athlete and yet be an academician.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you can't.
No.
I mean, that's another story by itself.
And speaking of that, I remember when I was coming along, which is like, you know, way 100 and some years ago. But anyway, when I was coming on, my father probably had a third grade education. My mother probably made to ninth grade, and all of us, which was 11, I believe, at one time, 3 dead now, but it was 11, and all of us got some college, you know. I went to college 4 years, didn't get a degree in anything. Had 3 brothers, did the same thing, but I had 4 sisters, all got degrees and everything. And I was telling you about one, my baby sister got her
PhD.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
further as she can go, you know. And my kids did the same thing who went to college and all the things. But then we seen for the last, say, 15 to 23 or 24 years, you know,
There's
kids
a
just
lot.
want to get to
Yes.
get 16 in Michigan where they can drop out.
Yeah.
Well-
Well, sociologists and probably psychologists, I think, are pondering those things because there's what I call a generation dissolve.
Mm-hmm.
You know, long ago, there was more of an intrinsic incentive to become educated.
Okay.
You may not have been scholarly long ago, but you at least utilize common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to read and use the library
Mm-hmm.
was something, you know, you took with you,
Yes.
right? People, you won't perceive, you know, as being too cool for school.
Right.
So the culture back then was somewhat different.
Yeah. It
Now,
was.
I can't sit here and try to tell you to trace where it all began.
Mhm.
I'll have to spend too many years researching
Mhm.
the West. I mean, that's like trying to trace your roots all the way from Africa to
Mhm.
the new land.
Mhm.
Ain't gonna happen.
Mhm.
Not no time soon.
Okay.
You know. So what I see as a teacher in the classroom
Mhm.
today is that too often, too many of our youths are turned off by the hard work ethic that is required
Mhm.
to become disciplined
Okay.
in learning.
Okay.
Because for many of them, they can picture a reward. And not that I look to justify them or give them an excuse, but when we look at society, we have become so greedy
Mm-hmm.
and so materialistic,
Mm-hmm.
where today, if you are an athlete or you have some athletic skill,
Mm-hmm.
that is valued so much more. I mean, you are like a god.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you happen to be a singer, take a look at how many reality shows we have on TV.
Yep.
So people live, as you and I were talking earlier on, in what I call an altered reality. There's this perception that you can make it even though you aren't adequately trained to do something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many somebody will tell you, yeah, I want to be a rap singer, or I want to do this, or I want to athlete. And I always tell students, that is okay. It's okay to have those dreams, but you must have a concrete plan to fall back on, just in case. Just in case this doesn't happen. What if?
you was saying that, and I thought about some athletes right now. You know, they get drafted, and they simply, they get drafted, sign a contract, and they simply go, I got no idea about how to use it, what to do with the monies and everything. And they have to hire an agent and all these things. And, I know the agent's a little bit better now, but, I know 15, 20 years ago, the agent was really ripping these guys off. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think when you look at it, there's still that problem. My son works for Yahoo.
Okay.
And he's a copyright editor there. And he covers the NFL.
Okay.
In detail. He's in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we talk about this at the time. We talk about going from millionaire to poverty overnight.
Okay.
Like Terrell Owens.
Mm-hmm.
We all know the famous wide receiver.
Right, yeah.
He's having a big problem.
Yeah.
Right? And one of it we go back to again is lack of education.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These individuals, I mean, if you are young from a poor home, you have athletic ability, somebody say, okay, I'm going to give you 15 million.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, your family is going to expand. You've become the principal breadwinner for a huge section.
Mm-hmm.
3/4 of them are not related by you except by sheer greed.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the hanger-on.
Yeah.
Those who figure, well, you got yours, some of it's going to be mine.
Right.
Right? So there are always people who are going to take advantage of you. Because immediately the agent, that's his job. Mm-hmm. He or she is going to look for their cut.
Yeah.
And it's going to be significant. Mm-hmm. Then you have to have these retainers. Again, we go back to, we started this conversation with education. Mm-hmm. It boils down to the fact of that these individuals are not educated enough, and I don't mean formally. Mm-hmm. They aren't educated enough within that cultural block to understand that you've got to put away something. Yeah. And you have to got an alternate plan. And you can't just put everything, it's like putting all your eggs in one basket. Right? And then live in larges. You need 6 cars, you need 5, you need to build this exotic homes, with a mortgage that's beyond your means. And then what if you get injured? So somebody needs to tell them, about investments, IRA, and not everything you go after. Because as we said, you're going to get charlatans who's going to come out, everybody's going to want to hook up. Hey, I know how you can do this. Why? It's your principal that's going to be going out there. You're the one signing on the dotted line, right? When it doesn't mature, you're the one left with the bag. And we can trace these sad stories to many, many athletes.
Oh, yeah.
The second part of that is look how many of them get injured. Yep. Yeah. Seriously injured and do not have the ability to get adequate medical care.
Yep. And a lot of them, after that injury, they can't play no more. Yeah. And then everything come crashing down on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the classrooms now, and I've just been hearing this for the last 3, maybe 4 months. Is your class bigger, smaller, about the same as it was for 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago?
Well, recently in Michigan, right, there's been what I call an assault on teachers.
Okay.
And I say that clearly, so I hope the governor, whoever to look at this tape, understand. There have been assault on teachers. I think it's political. It's all political. From the pension to hiring to now assessing teachers. Okay. Right? Truly, if we were interested in the quality of education, you and I know the first thing we'd look to do is to reduce class sizes.
Yes.
Beyond gym and home economics, you shouldn't have that amount of kids in a class. The classroom are filled. It's cheaper to overload the classroom than to hire more teachers. So the district has an issue because of funding. Right? And so they have to act in accordance. Yes, classes are overloaded. I personally, where I teach at Everett High School, my classes are overloaded, right? But I'm not the only one. There are other teachers likewise.
Okay.
Sure, you can bring the issue on board and ask them why, but it's something we have heard all over again, right? If you want quality education, you need to reduce the number.
Okay.
You have to. Other than that, a percentage of those students are going to be warehoused. Why? Because you as a teacher cannot, it's impossible, and I quote the word, totally impossible, to give them adequate time and instruction having that many students.
I was talking to, you know, and me and some guys, we talk all the time. And one of them was saying that, and I won't name the name of the school, but there were, I believe, 37 or 40 kids in the class at one time. I mean, how can you operate? I mean, is it possible to get anything across to these kids and that many kids at one time?
It's possible, put it this way. It's possible to instruct. It's impossible to teach. There's a difference between the two.
Okay.
You go out there to a crowd, you can instruct all of them. All right, you've got this, you've got that. You're addressing them.
Okay.
Take 10 people and you say, listen, if you go to that course, it will take you there. Vast difference. Information is filtered out there. Some people go and get, some don't. You got a smaller group, you ensure that the majority of people go and get it. It's well known. What I'm saying here is not no theory that just come up. I mean, think of you living in a home. I mean, you learn, we all probably at some point in time went to church, learn a poem or catechism.
Yeah.
You didn't learn it by everybody shouting over our building.
No.
You learn by having individual attention and time.
Yeah.
People are different. Some people can get it
Yeah.
quickly, and there are some needs nurturing.
Okay.
You can't nurture that large group because, once again, you don't have enough time.
Okay.
The psychologists, the sociologists, the professors, the experts, the legislatures, all them know it. They know that. So it's like what I'm saying here is nothing new. The big question is why it's done. It's done probably because it's convenient. It's done because truly we may say we care about children, but we don't value them.
I hear you. I hear you. We, you know, and again, I'll ask you. You can talk about it or not. But why do we see so many? What they call these schools?
Charter schools.
Yeah. Why do we see so many charter schools now?
Well, the thing about charter school, you see a lot of it because people are dissatisfied
Okay.
in many cases
Okay.
with the status quo.
Okay.
I mean, in this country, you competition. You don't mind, if you want to buy a car, you're not going to go to one dealer. If you don't get a good deal here, you go somewhere else.
Okay.
So with charter schools, people see it as a panacea, as a cure for quote-unquote failing schools.
Okay.
Well, yes, the schools may be failing. They may not live up to No Child Left Behind, or they may be a C or D or whatever F grade you want to give them. But again, you got to look at how they are being categorized and what's there. When we just talk about class sizes, do you seriously think that a school is going to show adequate progress by you increasing the class sizes?
I don't.
I mean, no, I don't think so.
No.
So then, after 3 years, why is it shock to you? You say, oh, well, they aren't making adequate progress. The state is going to take it over. We're going to apply a manager who can hire and fire. You honestly think the state is going to come in and do better? I'm one of those teachers who say, take it over. If you take it over with the plan that's in place, with class sizes and the other issues that come, right? I want to see your plan for making it better. Because I know reducing class sizes is one step in making it better. Second step, of course, is you must have parent involvement. Teaching only go on for X period of time. 7 hours in a day.
Okay.
You've got to have the parents come in or the caretakers. Then you got to have the community.
Okay.
Long ago, you had institutions, church, schools,
Yep.
Boy Scout, Girl Guides,
Yeah.
who sort of molded students.
Oh, yeah.
Today, those bastions are no longer there. Unfortunately for us, schools are inadequate today to handle the social issues that you put on them. Look at the issues schools got to deal with. High percent of special ed that are now mainstream that you got to deal with. The individualized plan you've got to make with teachers. The vast amount of immigrants who are coming from lands here and English is not their first language that you got to deal with. Inadequate housing, inadequate nutrition that kids live on. All right? Pregnancy, AIDS.
Yep.
And the list go on. We seem to have this feeling that just put them in the building and something miraculous is going to happen.
Yep.
It's not going to happen that way.
Yep.
I've had students who have been incarcerated for months and you just plumb them in a classroom. That's it. All of a sudden, I'm supposed to wave this magic wand and sort of convert them. Where's the transition period? In a way, we don't do that. And so we really, truly need to look at school. And I'm not saying it as a way just to defend all teachers. I'm looking at the system. Can we truly look at ourselves and say we have the best system for our kids? If your answer is yes, then you got your product. If it's no, then you still got your product because you're not doing anything about it.
I see. And another thing, I don't know your thoughts on it, but we have a thing here in Michigan where when kids get 16, they can drop out. And, for me, I'm way back and so far ago, so long ago. But to me, I see young people walking the streets because when you're 16, you're not going to be able to get a job out here. So I know that the last governor we had was trying to change it where you had to be 18 to drop out of high school. So what do you see now, and what can you say about these, trying to rush to get 16 and then drop out of high school?
Well, the law's changed.
Okay.
So now you can't drop out at 16.
You can't?
You can't.
You
You
can't?
gotta stay there. No, you can't.
Oh, okay.
You can no longer opt out.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
That don't mean you're gonna stay in school.
Oh, okay.
Because the way the system is, it got inadequate resources to pursue you if
Okay.
you decide to drop out at 16.
Oh,
But
okay.
technically, it's illegal to do that. But here's the conundrum with that. You turn off by school, so now you're being forced to stay there till you're 18.
Okay.
If you really don't want to be there, do we honestly think just because you say I got to be there, something is going to happen? Education is intrinsic. It has to have an internal value.
Yeah.
The system, right, we have to have a system, right, that can support an alternative way
Okay.
of educating,
Okay.
right? We are doing away with the trade skills.
Okay.
Hill
Yep.
is closed. Well, you look at where they need. Plumbers, pipe fitters, mason,
Yep.
carpenters,
Yep.
inadequate. So you've got to reform the system.
Yep.
I don't care what they say. Everybody's not going to be in school. It
Right.
wasn't like that from the beginning.
No.
Why do you think it's going to be so now?
Right. Yeah.
So all these draconian way you coming down, it's not going to work, right? Whoever is listening, legislators, everybody else, it's not because everybody, it's not designed for the system. It's
Right.
like people, some people go to college and after 4 years, 5 years, they realize, you know what, this is not for me.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So we have to look at that way of doing things. You're right. We need alternative way. You can't just put people in a classroom all the time, right? We need maybe what they have in Europe, a polytechnic institute, where yes, you study these various subjects, call it liberal arts, but we also teach you what you will call a trade, so you can do something. Come on, we're in a technological age. Look at the demand for technology. You know, look at Hill. We can do something about those things.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, those aren't the things we want to do, because everybody's saying, right, it costs too much. Costs too much now. What you think you're going to do in another decade when the roles elongates?
Yeah. We've got 2 minutes, and there's a whole bunch of things I want to talk about. But we, you know, and we're so close to time. What do you think? What do you think we could do to get some of these people off the street just walking around doing nothing? What's your thought about that?
Well, again, one look at the culture of young people, right? And young people today, whether you like them or not, they are drawn to icons.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
They are drawn to people who are musically inclined, who are athletes.
Okay.
Right? So those are individuals you can start with.
Okay.
Because nowadays you can't tell young people you need an education to prosper.
Okay.
They can counter that and point to the fact that the unemployment rate is up, and if they go to school, they're not going to get anything. So you have to start with those individuals who are in prominent position to address that. Because you and I are what I call no-name people.
Okay.
They aren't going to really listen to us.
Right.
You know, we don't have enough of what I call swag.
Right. Yep.
You know.
Oh man, you will come back.
Oh, definitely. You know, Ammahad, anytime you need me, I'm at your disposal. You've got my number. Feel free at any time to holler at me.
Okay. My name is Ammahad Shekarakki, and we've been talking for the last 27 or 30 minutes with Mr. Toby Hara. Okay.
Thanks a lot, bro.
Thanks for being here too.
Anytime.